Aloha, everyone. I'm Rick Kirkham of InHomeTutoringHonolulu.com. I am, as far as I know, the only in-home tutor here on Oahu with ADHD, specializing in students with ADHD. Of course, I teach a wide variety of subjects, and I'm a dual certified teacher from Illinois originally, and a certified substitute teacher here in Hawaii. And dare I say, a very popular substitute teacher here in Honolulu, Hawaii. During this is summertime right now, but during the winter time, I'm substitute teaching every day, and then I'm taking care of my in-home tutoring students after school. This this leads to naps in the evening. But anyway, I want to talk to you about an article I wrote, one of my favorite articles that I ever wrote, The Gift and Superpower of ADHD and how to use it, not just manage it, but how to use it. And I get backlash from this because people yell at me, say, stop treating it like a superpower. It's not, you know, it's a handicap. It's this, it's that. Not if you use it correctly. Learn to use it as a gift, treat it as a gift, and it will become a gift. But let's get into this a little bit before I end up talking too much. Haha. ADHD, the gift and superpower of ADHD and how to use it, not manage it, use it. So I'm going to kind of scroll through the article here and comment on it. You can find the article right up in here, and of course I'll put the link down in the comments so that you can actually read it if you prefer to do that. And I would appreciate and look forward to your comments below the video. So I didn't think about this as a superpower until I taught math for 2 years. That was my first long-term substitute teaching job ever. And my ADHD kids were doing well. And they were doing better in my class than they were in most of the classes. And I realized it was because I could relate to them and tell them things that helped me and that therefore improved them. We're not all made out of, we're not all cut out cardboard copy of each other. Different things help for different students, still, even the ones with ADHD. But there are certain principles that I've discovered on my own that help my fellow students as well. And I always tell my students, once you learn how to use your ADHD, you will become unstoppable in anything you want to do. So some of the gifts and superpowers of ADHD. The average person has 2 or 3 things flying around through their head, and while we have 4 or 5 things flying around through their head. That's just an example with numbers. We have a lot more things flitting around in our heads. Once we learned how to focus on those things, I made a career, for example, in sales a long time ago. And I suppose you could say I'm still in sales since I'm self-employed. But in any case, I could listen to the client in front of me. I could remember the things that he said before, and I could quickly use those things that he said and remind him of those things when he was trying to decide whether or not he wanted to try to buy the product that I was selling. So that was very helpful. My mind was quicker than the average person's because of all the things I had flitting around in my head that I was able to focus on. And when I laser focused on that, the more common term for that is hyperfocus, I was very good at it. And I hyperfocused or laser focused on computers, and got scary good at computer troubleshooting. I still do that. But the secret there is to learn how to use it. The What you should do to do that is, I know this sounds silly, but try to find something interesting, even if it's just a tiny thing. If what you're reading mentions the color blue and blue is your favorite color, laser focus on that, and by the time you're done studying, hours may go by and you only come out of it because you realize you're thirsty or hungry or something, but then you're ready for the test. We have what I use, and it's probably one of my favorite superpowers. The ability to see patterns is enhanced in people with ADHD. I want to try and explain that just a little bit, how we can use that. I use our enhanced ability to see patterns when I'm tutoring my ADHD students. I myself look for the pattern in the work that my student is doing, and then I show them how to find the pattern. It, once again, experience and teacher training prevail. And I know parents try like heck to help their ADHD child, but sometimes you just need a professional educator with ADHD, such as myself, to help the child. But the patterns are really cool. I use it when I'm writing PHP code. I can follow patterns and debug the program. Debugging is still not fun. All the programmers are laughing right now. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But we can see patterns really well. I recently had one of my parents of a tutoring student comment on that. I told her that your child actually is good at math despite the fact that she's failing it. And I say, because we see patterns really well. I just have to show her how to see the patterns. And she commented that years ago her daughter figured out something, and the daughter said, "Oh, it's easy. I saw the pattern." So Mom agreed with me at that point, and we began our tutoring lessons. Okay, let's see. The ability to see more detail in things, which is probably related to our ability to see patterns. And what else can I say about that? We see details. Okay, here's an example. I had a friend of mine that was into numerology, like seeing numbers, hidden numbers and signs and stuff like that. Excuse me, I still have a lisp. It's really pronounced this week. But I reminded my friend to look inside the numbers for other numbers because I saw that detail. Outside of the box solutions, no one ever accused me of solving a computer problem or a tutoring problem by thinking inside the box. It's just not me. I took a really slow computer one time, installed a operating system called Linux Mint, got rid of Windows, and added a SSD, solid state drive. Boom, just sped the thing up like crazy without even having to add any RAM to it. One of my in-home tutoring students' moms told me that although her son was highly intelligent, he didn't do well on the reading tests even after reading. So I asked my student, I said, do you read aloud in school or do you read to yourself? He said that they read to themselves. So when the mom approached me and about this problem, and I said, does your son read aloud to you or to himself? She said, he reads aloud to me. I said, okay, that's easier to focus when you're reading aloud. I said, have your son read to himself and then ask him questions later on. So that was a little outside of the box solution there to help with that particular problem. I skipped one, creativity. I don't consider myself a creative person unless you want to talk about my outside of the box solutions to things. So that's a possibility there for me personally. I'm sure I've seen people that draw. I I tried to doodle one time. I couldn't doodle, and I didn't get doodling. I was either laser focusing on what the teacher was saying, or I was doing my work. But I can't doodle when people are talking. Just not in me. Okay, let's take a look at some more here. Conversational skills and humanities. Supposedly, okay, I admit, I'll start a conversation with anybody. My wife and I are both Christians, and my wife was always kind of frustrated with me that I would start a conversation with anybody until I myself became a Christian, and then she was happy that I would talk to anybody because, like, if it was Sunday and I just finished talking to church and going to church, and I met somebody and say, "Oh yeah, hi, I'm Rick. We just got out of church. What church do you go to?" Blah blah blah. Stuff like that. Or if I see somebody reading a math book, I might go up, "Hey, what grade are you in?" Whatever. College or something. I don't go up to a 10-year-old kid somewhere and say, "What grade are you in?" That's kind of creepy. But, basically I'll start a conversation with anybody, especially if I'm in line. I might turn around and say hi or talk about how slow the line is, but the cashiers are working really hard, something like that. So, yeah, we're good at conversations. We also appear to be good with empathy, understanding someone else's situation. And this supposedly makes us more successful socially. Now, a lot of my middle school students who don't have a hold of their ADHD yet, they are quite often not very sociable. But that's okay. And then I've got others who stress the hyperactive part of ADHD, and they have friends and are all over the place playing basketball with them and things like that. But basically, as our social skills develop, our ADHD helps with those social skills once we learn how to use it and control it. Spontaneity and courage. Now, the courage, I don't know about. I try to face my fears, but I've always attributed that to my martial art background. But supposedly the spontaneity has something to do with that. And I am really good at planning for the short term. And when I'm planning something for the short term, I become the king of what ifs. And if you have ADHD, then you are also the king or queen of what ifs, because we get those 5 or 6 things flitting around in our brains. What if this? What if this? And we are just coming up with solutions to it just like that. And we are ready for those things then. When I used to go to the sparring club, and I used to spar with this tournament champion, and he said something to me I won't forget. He said, "It's always a chess match sparring with you, Rick." And that's because I would notice those little things, those little details, like the weight shifted on the back of his leg, so I know that he's going to kick with his front leg. Or I'll notice a change in his face, so I know when he's about to attack, and that's when I just do a real quick attack to get him back into defensive mode. Uh, but yeah, but back to the spontaneity. Uh, my wife is great at long-term planning. I'm great at the what if, so together we're a good combination. But in fact, I made a joke here. My wife's superpower is actually putting up with me. But anyway, let's take a look at what else we got here. Obviously, high energy. The H stands for hyperactivity. And I use mine by always being in a sport. I played tennis in high school, and then I boxed for a while. I started martial arts when I was 14, and I got to tell you, and I've even seen this on the news, so it's pretty well established. Martial arts is what really helped me to control and focus my ADHD. So if I was going to suggest anything to anyone besides see me as a tutor, whether it's remotely on Zoom or whether it's as a house call, which I usually do for people here on Oahu, I'd rather face my student and work in the same environment that my student has to study in. That's better for my student. That can be done remotely as long as they are in that same environment. But the high energy is used, if you use it in sports, like I said, tennis, then boxing, continuing martial arts since I was 14 years old. Utilizing that high energy is great, but once again, my students often don't know what to do with that energy just yet, so they end up with behavioral issues where the teachers are constantly calling the parents and talking to the parents about those issues. It's a matter of, once again, laser focusing that energy. And once that energy can be focused, once again, you will become unstoppable. Let me see what else. Oh, I guess I'm done with that. But I think it's very important to start looking at your ADHD as being a superpower and a gift and learning how to utilize it. And I even mentioned in this part here, when Spider-Man first got his powers, he was like just spinning webs all over the place and he was stuck on walls and everything. But eventually he became one of the most powerful superheroes in the comics and in the movies. I know people are going to argue with me. Go ahead and comment on who you think the most powerful superhero is. That's fine. Comments actually help my algorithm in YouTube. So that reminds me, please like this video and subscribe and comment. All of those things help me get the word out more, where I can help even more people not suffering from ADHD, but with the untrained gift of ADHD. So with that in mind, before I end up talking too much, please text me. If you're on the mainland, text only, please don't call. There's a time difference there, and I don't want to get woken up at 1 in the morning just because a new tutoring client got a hold of me and is all excited and finally found me. Computer tutoring clients, same deal. I know that's my secondary business now, but sometimes I get more calls on that than I do tutoring, both fortunately and unfortunately. But in the meantime, accept that as a gift, an untrained gift, and let me help you train that gift so that you or your child will become unstoppable. So with that in mind, God bless you and have a wonderful day. Aloha.